Okay, let's see what we have today. Card number 40. Try to see yourself with others' eyes. This is John Paulus. You're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet. Card 40 asks us to think of our stories as a history based on other people's words, grateful words, about our work. Let me read you the prompt. Think of your own story as a history based solely on others' grateful words about your work or your interactions with them. What good things are you saying about yourself? Consider the specific words people said about you and the actions that you did that caused their gratitude. Say them out loud. All right, I'm going to read that again, and then I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that. And whatever pops to mind, whatever stories or whoever is saying something to you that's grateful, positive about something that you did, say that out loud. So here goes again. Think of your own story as a history based solely on others' grateful words about your work or your interactions with them. What good things are you saying about yourself? Consider the specific words people said about you and the actions that you did that caused their gratitude. Say them out loud. Okay, so what did you think of? A situation years ago popped into my mind. I remember that I was hosting an event and I had just given a little introductory speech. And a person came up to me during the reception and said, "Wow, that was a great speech you gave. You're really good at giving introductions. Have you ever thought about that?" I hadn't. This is really the first time that I'd ever thought about the fact that I might have a special skill in that area. And I've introduced a lot of people in my time, and I always take a lot of pride in toast making. I really care to introduce the people in a way that's going to make them feel, well, to prepare them in a sense and to prepare the audience to receive the person well, and also to put the person who I'm introducing into a good frame of mind and to use it as an icebreaker. You know how comedy shows or late night talk shows, I don't know if you know this, but they have people, though a lot of shows, not just late night talk shows, a lot of shows have people who warm up the audience beforehand so that they kind of get them in the mood to laugh and, be receptive to the show and the host and so forth. I think that's really why I'm good at introducing people, because I'm trying to both warm up the audience and I'm trying to create a energy, and I think of it as being a kind of lightness. We're in a good place together. So that's my technique for giving introductions or toasts. And I think that I really have always enjoyed doing that. It's a way of connecting with people that I've always felt very comfortable with. I spend a lot of time on it, but when I'm doing it, it's always based on the fact that this is the most important thing that's happening, that this audience is the most important, this person is the most important. I'm really focusing on the people. And I've noticed this in other circumstances. We went to a concert years ago featuring a particular band, and when the lead singer of the band came out, they went up to the microphone and they looked out at the audience and they talked about how much that the band had been preparing for this show. And this was a very small venue, and the band was a very, very well known band in that world, on that circuit. And the lead singer spent a good 3 or 4 minutes talking about how nervous they all were because they wanted to put on the best show possible for this group, and that how important it was for them over the last couple of weeks when they were rehearsing. Wow, did that change the energy in the room? They absolutely won over that audience. I've seen that happen many times, and it's a combination of both sincerity, genuineness, a care for your audience, right, which is so critical, and that's why I think so hard about introducing people. And not only is it that, but it also shows, secondarily, I think, a care for your craft, a care for what you're doing, and a self-respect. We don't think of that too often because we think, well, this is about others, right? Understand that these are moments when others are seeing you flourish, doing what you do, how you do it, but they're seeing that it's for their sake or for the sake of others, and that means a lot to us as people. So look out for those moments. On the website, there's a complimentary video for Card 40 where one of my favorite musicians, since I was young, actually, Herbie Hancock, is featured talking about Miles Davis and when he was with Miles Davis's band, and some great stories. The reason I selected that video was that it was Herbie Hancock telling a kind of funny story about how Miles Davis kind of put up with Herbie Hancock's love of technology and his use of all of these recording machines that he was always setting up before the show. Anyway, the video, that part of the video is a very charming story. The second story that Herbie Hancock tells is relevant to this card because it's him talking about playing a concert or playing a show in Stuttgart. And there's a moment when Miles Davis has the solo, and Herbie Hancock is accompanying underneath Miles Davis's solo. And Herbie Hancock says, I played this chord that was just wrong, which I find very interesting as well, because it's a very craftsman-like thought about it. And also it shows Herbie Hancock's care for the people he's playing with, because this is Miles Davis's solo. He's playing this chord that could mess things up. And without missing a beat, no pun intended, Herbie Hancock describes how Miles Davis went with it. That he changed his solo to make that chord right in Herbie Hancock's eyes, so that he saw that here was somebody who was looking at what Herbie Hancock thought was a mistake and saying, that wasn't a mistake, that was just something that happened, and making it right. Herbie Hancock is describing Miles Davis as looking at what he did, which he thought, oh, I did this wrong. Looking at what he did and saying, no, you didn't do that wrong. You just created a new dynamic. When you're seeing yourself with others' eyes, the way this card tells you, you're getting confirmation for yourself about situations in which you are flourishing that you may have not known about before. But when you see yourself through the generosity of others' eyes, you can see that in situations, even where you think you made a mistake, that you actually did something that led to the flourishing of everyone involved. If you were jazzed by this episode, please subscribe. And if you'd like to pick up a pack of cards to play with, pay a visit to lifespotluck.com. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.